The Cowboys OT is brought to you by Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
No such thing as an easy road win in the NFL, and that was certainly proven here in Week 10 of the 2022 season. There's also no such thing as a normal game between the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. The Packers, who came in with just 3 wins on the season, come out on top, and they take down the Dallas Cowboys 31-28 in overtime. As we welcome you into Cowboys OT. Also, the first word presented by Dr. Pepper here from the Globe Life Studios at the Star in Frisco as we break down what just happened in this overtime loss with the Dallas Cowboys falling on the road to the Green Bay Packers. With Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, 3 former Cowboys. I'm Kyle Yeomans to break it all down for you. Barry, I'll start with you. 4th down and 4 in overtime. The Cowboys win the toss. First off, they were up 24-14 going into the fourth quarter. They had a 2-score lead entering the final frame, but going into that overtime period, lots of confidence. You're moving the football. Then a couple penalties, a 4th down and 4 call. You don't get it, and it leads to a Green Bay win.
Yeah, those questionable decisions all around. But to me, the biggest thing that happened on that drive, you talked about it, it was that penalty. It was that holding penalty on McGovern. That was a 20-yard swing right there. Because if there wasn't a penalty right there, you're sitting on, I believe, the Green Bay 25, maybe 30-yard line. Easy. If you don't get a touchdown, you're going to get a field goal out of that situation. That penalty right there, that holding penalty, knocked them all the way out of field goal range. They were able to stop the Cowboys, and they were going to go, from there on to score the touchdown. But to me, I got to go on this defensive side of the football. I mean, this defense has been flying around all season, but they have to find a way to stop the run. If you want to get where you want to be at with this team at the end of the year, you're going to have to find a way to stop the run. If you don't, this is what's going to happen. People are going to bleed the clock out on you, bleed that time of possession, and it's going to end up in the L for your team.
In regular time, it was 32 minutes. 32 minutes and 46 seconds. And we've all collectively sat up here and said, what happens when we play a quarterback that can control a game with a run game? And it all came down to this. It came down to our coach, I think, got a little emotional. I'm stealing your line here. We should have kicked the field goal.
Yeah.
We believed and we've said that we believed in our defense all year. This was the time to show them that you believed in them. I mean, the big penalty by McGovern was that swing you were talking about, but still we was in field goal range. Should have kicked that thing, man.
I think it's a combination of everything that you guys both just said. I mean, you look at what the Dallas Cowboys did very well. These guys were able to move the ball on the ground. Tony Pollard did a great job. Obviously, the penalties ended up coming back and biting them in the butt. We had the turnovers that were early, the miscommunication between Dak and CeeDee Lamb, some of those other things that are taking place, some of those errant throws showed back up again today. Those are things that you want to see wiped off the board. Those are things that have showed their ugly head in recent weeks, and here they are presenting themselves again. And then defensively, it's more of the same. We can get after the passer. We can do that all day long, but what happens when you face teams that are dedicated to the run and have a nice two-headed monster like a Jones and a Dillon? They're going to continue to run the ball down your throat. Giving up another 200 yards on the ground to another team, and that allowed team to stay in the game. That allowed Aaron to be able to be in position where he can now play action and get you over the top on those crossing routes and put you in bad positions when you guys are trying to communicate in the secondary. That's what happened today. And then you couple that with the fact that McCarthy made that bad call at the end. It was all bad.
So really quickly here, I want to hear from all three of you here on this, though. But on the 4th down and 4 specifically, if you get that, you convert. You look like a genius who was just aggressive. But at that point in the ball game, it didn't go right. It didn't go right at all. It was a poor play call, poor execution. All of it went south for the Cowboys. Was this just a good indication that they were too high for the moment? The return of McCarthy, Lambeau on a Sunday night. Is that just kind of too much for this team at this point in the season?
I don't think it's too much for this team. I think, what Nate said, he got emotional. This was a very emotional setting for him. I mean, you think about everything that he had to deal with leading up to it over the past years, how much time he's had to sit on it and mull over it. And here you are in a situation where you get to really just put your foot down and put them away, and he decides to be overly aggressive when he could have just played the stats and said, hey, we're in overtime, kick the doggone field goal, and let our defense go out there and take over this game.
I understand that you may have said your defense was having an off day. I can understand that. But your defense is your strength of your team. I just do not understand why we did that right there. Over 200 yards rushing, over 35 minutes. Yeah, your defense was tired, but I would have had to give them that one opportunity.
Yeah, it was definitely an emotional call, and I agree with you, Kyle, because if they make that 4th and 4, the guy looks like a genius. And I understand, this defense wasn't able to stop Aaron Rodgers and this rushing attack pretty much the whole second half. I mean, it was 28-14 for a hot second, and then Aaron Rodgers in his ground game brought him all the way back. But at the end of the day, you got to lean on your strength, which has been the defense the entire season. I think it was a blown call.
Dallas falls to 6-3, 17 unanswered points for the Green Bay Packers, and they win this one, 31-28 in overtime. That does it for the First Word presented by Dr. Pepper. Cowboys OT continues as we take a look at the highlights when we come back to the Star in Frisco.
This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back here from the Star in Frisco, Lambeau Field, not normally friendly territory to the Dallas Cowboys, and that certainly showed its ugly head again here in Week 10. The Cowboys fall 31-28, the final score in overtime as they fall to 6-3. The Packers improve to 4-6. Let's see how this one unfolded from the get-go, beginning to end, and there was a lot to get to. So we fast forward to the second quarter. It took 17 plays, but Dak finds CeeDee Lamb for a slick move at the goal line. He finds the end zone, his 15th career score, Nate.
Yeah, just a little quick out route here. Caught the ball, made 2 guys miss. Fell into the end zone. Nice touchdown.
That was the first one for CeeDee Lamb. Next offensive drive for Green Bay. DeMarcus Lawrence gets home. Strip sack to Aaron Rodgers. Recovered by Dallas inside the 10-yard line. So they would easily take advantage of this, right? And able to put it into the end zone or at least come up with points because it's inside the 10-yard line. Not so fast. Green Bay would get it right back. Dak picked off in the end zone, negating what was a great shot to extend an early lead. They return it all the way near midfield before he's pushed out of bounds, so Green Bay saves some points. One thing that is great about Aaron Rodgers, he takes advantage of other teams' mistakes. Rodgers hits the deep seam to the rookie Christian Watson for 6.
Yeah, this was a great ball by Aaron Rodgers. He threw it from the clouds, dropped it right on the breadbasket for Watson. But what you hate to see here from a DB, you got to get hands on him. If you're going to press coverage like that, you got to get hands to strip that timing. He wasn't able to do that.
His first career touchdown ties it at 7. Time winding down in the second quarter. Dak wants to find CeeDee deep. Instead, he finds the safety. A big pick leads to great field position for Green Bay, and Green Bay, of course, delivers again. Off of the turnover, Aaron Jones bounces to the outside, and he certainly has had the Cowboys' number. That's his 6th rushing touchdown against the Cowboys in just 3 games. 2-minute drill for the Dallas Cowboys, and they do respond. Schultz with his first touchdown of 2022, and we're all tied up at the break. Dak Prescott with 25 pass attempts, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the first half. Now, on a punt after a defensive stop for Green Bay, the return looks good initially, but then C.J. Goodwin punches this football out. Sean McCune hops on top of it, and it gives the ball back to Dallas. 4 plays, 45 yards later, Tony Pollard from 13 yards out dices up the Green Bay defense, and Dallas takes the lead at 21-14. Dallas gets the ball back. Later in the frame, Dak found that connection with CeeDee Lamb again from 35 yards out.
It was a heck of a route by CeeDee Lamb. He simply took the inside release, went up here, gave it to ooh-wee, took it to the outside, nice ball, dropped in the bucket, touchdown.
His second touchdown of the game would put Dallas up by 2 scores, but not for very long. Christian Watson matches CeeDee's 2 touchdowns to make it 28-21 as he gets behind the defense. Of course, Anthony Brown left the game with a concussion, so it was Deron Bland and Kelvin Joseph. He would add 1 more just before the 2-minute warning. The hat trick for the rookie who had not had a touchdown reception. He had 3 in this one. Dallas wins the toss. A few penalties leads to 4th and 4. The pressure for Dak Prescott, a desperation heave trying to find Tony Pollard. It's incomplete. Dallas gives up the possession. Green Bay takes over. And then from their 44-yard line, the connection to Allen Lazard sets it up inside the 20. He's taken down in between the hash marks, and all Green Bay has to do is set things up for Mason Crosby. Crosby, who missed a field goal early in the game, was not going to miss this 28-yarder in overtime to win it for Green Bay. Final score 31-28. The Packers upset the Dallas Cowboys in a game that really any Cowboys fan should have an opportunity to look back on and say, we should have had this one. You had a 14-point lead heading into the 4th quarter, and unfortunately it didn't work out that way, Barry.
Yeah, it didn't work out at all. And once again, it comes back to me for this defense. You have the lead. You're the strength of this team. You have got to be able to come through for your offense. They weren't able to stop the run. They weren't able to stop Aaron Rodgers out there. And a huge loss, Anthony Brown, was a huge loss for this secondary. They tested the young corners out there. Aaron Rodgers got the best of us.
You know, I just feel like, Zarea, when it comes down to the big games like this, is who's going to have the least bad plays. We had two. Dak threw 2 interceptions. We don't know why, you know, what's the situation, but you can't have those bad throws like that.
And a couple of mistakes early on, and it cost Dallas points, and of course they could have used those points down the stretch to try and hold on to that lead. When we come back, Isaiah Stanback breaks down the film. He goes to the telestrator with Haley Sutton. We try and figure out what exactly happened in those early mistakes for the Cowboys.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Rolling on from Cowboys OT at the Star in Frisco. Let's take a look at some of the early mistakes for the Cowboys and how they came up on the losing side of a 31-28 loss to the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, spoiling the return for Mike McCarthy. Let's welcome in Haley Sutton and Isaiah Stanback as they break down the film.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kyle. Isaiah, Kyle just mentioned it. A lot of early mistakes for the Cowboys in this one, specifically from the play caller. Break it down. What happened for us?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're seeing some of these bad habits that have shown in the recent weeks really trying to present their head again in this particular game. 2 of those mistakes came up in this game in terms of the interceptions, okay? Dak Prescott had 2 interceptions. Everybody's going to look at Dak and say, oh, my goodness, what are you doing? It's not just on the quarterback, and here's a perfect example as to why. I'm going to show you guys first what's going to happen. I want you guys to see the play, and then we're going to break down what happened. So let's go ahead and run through this real quick. Keep your eye on CeeDee Lamb and Schultz right here in the middle. These guys are both running routes at the same level. Interception right there. Now let's rewind it back so you guys can see exactly what's going on. Right here, I want you guys to look at Dalton Schultz is coming up here, and he's supposed to be running an in route. Very similarly, we should have a guy running on the lower level. There's supposed to be tiers right here. The reason why you want to have tiers is because, number one, if the first hole isn't there, then there's a guy right behind him that can come in the second hole. But what happens here is miscommunication, and now CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz are both coming in at the same level. You guys see right here, as we get ready to press the pause button right here, boom. Right now, there is a lot of miscommunication going on. Why do we have 2 guys running the same exact route? Not only do we have that, you cannot compound the problem now as Dak Prescott. You're looking here and you're seeing that you have 2 guys in the same spot. Get off of your read right here. You need to come to your number 2 route, okay? So this is your 1, that's your 2. Both of those guys are messed up. You need to come to 3, and then guess what number 3 is? All right, boom, right there. Number 4, throw that thing out of bounds. You can't compound 2 bad decisions and make it worse by throwing it in here. Boom, the man steps up, makes a big play, interception. That's mistake number 1.
Of course, we know this wasn't the only mistake in this game. The defensive side of the ball, normally the strength of this Cowboys team, but they really struggled down the stretch, particularly at the end of the game. Just went wrong. What went wrong there? Yeah, so I mean, the defense definitely, they didn't take care of their business as well. But right here, I mean, you're going to see here, okay? So boom, perfect. The defense is getting confused, okay? There's a lot of misdirection going on, and they did a great job offensively by having these short splits, okay? You guys see how these guys are stacked. What does that do? Well, it confuses these 2 guys right here, okay? Both of our defensive backs. Both of those guys right there, they should be on fire, but they're not on fire. They are not in fuego. These guys are getting confused. And as we snap the ball right here, you're going to see the confusion. Boom, right here, coming straight off the play action, right there. Pause, right immediately. We set the outside. He set him outside, and now he's coming across. Where are the eyes of these safeties? You got a safety right here, and then we have Kelvin Joseph that is now running and chasing number 1 right here. All right, what else happens here? You have Donovan Wilson who's looking for a man out the backfield. If this running back does not come out to the backfield, come out the backfield into a route, now all of a sudden Donovan Wilson needs to have his eyes back trying to chase and see exactly what's going on his backside. 3 guys should be covering this 1 guy right here, and then he has to do a good job of covering the backside. Playing it through, you guys see exactly what happens. You got the play action, pause it right there. Now all of a sudden we have how many guys? 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that should have been responsible for this 1 guy because of the miscommunication. It's an easy play action touchdown right here to number nueve. He kicked our butts all night long. It shouldn't have been a problem, but because of the lack of communication, because of the misdirection, because of the play action, this team got torched in the secondary. Got torched in the secondary, got torched in special teams late in the game. Kyle, I'm going to send it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Isaiah and Haley, for breaking that down. When we come back, we'll hear what Mike McCarthy had to say. His return to Lambeau spoiled in the end. A walk-off field goal from Mason Crosby wins it for the Green Bay Packers 31-28 when we come back here on OT. (31-28), a disappointing loss for the Dallas Cowboys on the road against the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. So it'll be at least another couple years for Mike McCarthy to try and defeat all 32 NFL teams. In his return to his former employer, he fell in overtime with a walk-off field goal. Here he is at the podium following the game.
All right, questions, please. It's two totally different things. I'm very frustrated with the ending of the game, obviously. I think just the biggest thing for us is we need to go out here and just learn from these games. I love these kind of games. And this is not exactly what I told these games. You need these tight games to get to where you want to go. So, and I thought we were in total control that in overtime, obviously the penalties and the things, very, very, very frustrating. But that's, you got to overcome those things, and this group of men, they have it. But I'm just disappointed for them. So.
Yeah. Tim Kellis, Dallas Morning News. What was your thoughts on the 4th and 3? The field goal obviously doesn't end the game.
Yeah, hey, Tim, we were right on it. We were right on the line. Going north was the wind. Obviously we wanted to toss. They took the win, so we were right on the line for the field goal. And hey, to be honest with you, I felt we needed to go for it. I called it on second down, especially the way the game was going. It was big play, penalty, big play, penalty, big play, penalty. So our thing was just keep playing. We had good calls. So I'm fine with the decision. Obviously, I know we didn't convert, but 4th and 3, just didn't convert.
What did they do differently in the 4th quarter?
Say it again.
What did they do differently to set you guys down?
You mean schematically?
Yeah, well, you had it going in first.
Yeah, no, they played well, man. I give credit to the other guys. They played well. They got some damn good players. Yeah, so it was. We were in a lot of run pass options and things like that. I thought Dak managed it well, had some clean looks, but we had some big plays. Didn't go our way.
Michael Duncan, Dallas Morning News. Those two penalties, the offside on the wide receiver, and then the holding call. What explanation or what sense or what do you make of it?
I got no explanation. You watch the game. The receivers check with the side, all day long, and I just can only tell what JT told me coming off. He said he got in it, and it was called for being in the neutral zone. So I don't understand the timing of that. To be honest with you, you just sit there and have communication the whole game. You watch the receivers. Every time everybody does it in pro football. It's just you check every time. It's almost part of your stance. So just disappointing. So I'm sure I'll look at the tape, and obviously he must have been in the neutral zone. I would think if she called it, but I just. We got to have those penalties at that time, and we'd always going to overcome it.
Ed Werder, you have one of the best defenses in the league. You won a lot of games for you this year. How did you lose control of 2 touchdown lead?
Well, I just think the biggest thing is, they played small ball. They attacked our C gap in the run game, had success, had over 2 yards rushing. So that's the calling card against us. We knew coming in here that they had 2 backs that they were going to run against us. We got to be better there, and we'll continue to work on it. But I thought that they tried to stay away from our pass rush as much as they can, and took selective shots. Obviously the rookie had a huge day on the crossing routes, and obviously the vertical ball. So we just we're going to see it every week. Everybody's going to try to run the ball against us just because of the way we're built.
Mike, we spoke in 55,000. Very frustrating. Do you feel like this is one that got away from you?
Well, I think it's like any game. There's not a game that we haven't played this year that I didn't feel like we should or could have won. This is definitely is in that category. I love this team not only just because they play hard, they do all the right things, but they're made of the right stuff. They're accountable. The adjustments. I don't know if you got to even pay attention to it, but the sideline, there was no blink. We were totally in control of that game as far as our viewpoint, and and I felt when we got the ball that we were going to go down and score and then see what happens. So, yeah, it's very disappointing. I'm very disappointed for the players because I thought they definitely did enough today to win. I'll tell you, I thought he played well. I mean, I think his ball placement's, off the charts. Just the ability to put the ball where he does so consistently. Obviously, I thought he played at a high level again today.
Yeah, 2 picks. Was there miscommunication? Did that force any coverage?
Well, the first one is that plays that's kind of on the fringe of where you call it. So the point is that based on the way we're supposed to do it, it's a tighter window to get across, and Dak has to throw that with anticipation. So that's what happened on the first one. And the second one is another adjustment. It's 22 replaces the name of the coverage you called it. So with them coming down it's a 2-shell that really plays like a 3-shell. So there's it's a route adjustment and timing, combination around route adjustment and timing.
Like a third loss when you're chasing the team, it's like you aren't damaging.
I'm not worried about that. There's a lot of football to be played. Yeah, I mean we just crossed the halfway line, so we just got to take care of our own business, keep cleaning our own house, and obviously with the flags on the ground there in overtime, we got enough to focus on. So yeah, we take care of our own business. We'll get there where we want to go.
Mike, besides the results, overall experience of being back in Green Bay, just take the time this morning, get on the field. I mean, it's hard to look at it now, but you can't tell.
So that's just not. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm humble pied out. Okay.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
So you could hear it in Mike McCarthy's voice early on. It was frustrating. It was disappointment. I liked what he started off with. It said, you have to win these types of games if you want to get where you need to go or where you want to go. You have to win these types of games. You're also going to lose these types of games at times. Where could they learn the most?
I believe they got to learn when you're up like that, take advantage of the team that you're playing against. You're up 2 scores in the fourth quarter. Run that thing out. There's no reason to get a little hurry up going on there. There's no reason to do any of that. And defensively, if you're up 2 scores, you cannot let that team back into the game. That last drive to tie it up, Aaron Rodgers took that team 85 yards, long distance on the field to score that tying touchdown. You can't let that happen if you're the strength of this team. Now, I understand the defense. They've done a heck of a job all year long. But kudos to Green Bay. I got to get my hats off to Green Bay because usually when this team gets up, maybe 10 points or 2 scores, they abandon the run game. They think all we got to do is throw the football. But Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay, they stuck with the run. They stuck what got them there, and it ended up proving dividends to them in the end.
It's called execution. You can't have a tight end and a wide receiver running into the same slots when you're supposed to be in 2 different zones. You can't have a holding when you're coming down the stretch. Those are the plays I talked about earlier. You have to have the least bad plays. We had 2 interceptions. They had none. Their quarterback threw for 20 times, 12 for 20. Our quarterback threw 46 times. That is how we win games. We have to be prepared by prepping ourselves and understanding where we're supposed to be and doing the extra work out there on the field. So when you get into a game, it can transform into wins. That's how you win games.
These were one of those games that things didn't go right. They weren't clean. They weren't pretty all the way through, but you still had a shot at the end. You went into that final frame with a lead. You had a 2-score advantage, and you weren't able to take advantage. And that's where the frustration comes for Mike McCarthy and company, that execution that Nate is talking about. You have to be better if you're going to win these types of games, especially on the road in the NFL. When we come back, we hear from Micah Parsons. He was a little banged up in this one. We hear what he had to say about the loss to Green Bay, 31-28 the final from Lambeau. Cowboys OT from the Star in Frisco. Let's go back out to Lambeau Field and hear from Micah Parsons following the overtime loss to the Green Bay Packers.
I think that we just got finished better. I thought we came out good, but the end of half was not very good on our part, and we got to get better and learn from it.
Where do you guys go from here? Next up, you guys are definitely going to have to turn the tables here. What's the plan?
We got to get ready for a good Minnesota team. Go back tomorrow, look at this tape, learn our mistakes, and get ready because we got a really good team next week.
Knowing how much you met Coach McCarthy, was a disappointing loss anyway. Does that sort of add another element to it?
Like I said, I don't believe in the whole because you were somewhere, and I play the game hard just because, you know, that's me. And just losing like that in general is tough. Like, without any other factor, it's hard to lose a 14-point lead, like, period. No matter how you look at it, who played where we at, we was up 14 and lost. Like, that's just unacceptable for the team we're trying to be. So whether we got to go back and fix and look at mistakes, change things, but, you know, those type of things can't happen.
Was there a play or two that you felt like this thing might have been starting to get away from you?
I mean, it's not even just a play or two. It's just we didn't play our style of football second half, period. You know what I'm saying? You can't be up 14 against, you know, Aaron Rodgers and lose that game, regardless of who's playing, what play, big play, no play. You can't lose those type of games.
Like, they came out clearly with the mentality that they were going to try and run the football, and they had some success with that early. They had some success with that basically all game, with 200 rushing yards in total. What is it that is broken about your run defense? What's the issue there, and how do you guys address it?
We just got to be accountable. We gotta hold our gaps. We gotta come downhill and stop it. It's gonna keep happening until we stop it. Period. We can play as much, we can rush as much as we want, but until we put this flame out of this running the ball stuff, we're never gonna be as good as we need to be. Period. We gotta get better.
You don't believe it's physicality issues, more about technique and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would take any of those guys any day of the week when it comes to physicality, but in terms of being accountable and staying and knowing you're doing your job, that's what it is. Yeah, people think this is an I game because certain people splash. This is a we thing, you know, and it's just not one person. It's, you know, if he don't get the call, that's on us. You know, if he don't stunt because, you know what I'm saying, whether he do it, it's either him or it's on us, you know what I'm saying? So we think we got to depend on everybody to do their job, and if one person not doing their job, everything's in shambles. So it's something that I'm very upset about, and you know, it has to change.
Michael, where's your health right now? You've been battling a couple things.
Yeah, that's the key about life, you know. You got to battle things or fight through it, and you know, obviously adversity hits, but you know, I think I'm good enough to play.
Can you peel back the onion on that at all, and what's been ailing you?
Sure, everything really, you know what I'm saying, but that's the nature of the game. I play, you know, sideline to sideline. I'm taking on hits from side of me, in front of me, behind me. I mean, it's just what people are doing. They targeting me.
Micah, you're all about accountability, and you were talking earlier about how Aaron Rodgers is someone you look at as almost like an icon, a legend. But personally speaking, how disappointing is it that you didn't get to take a win off of Aaron?
I'm more disappointed that we lost up 14 rather than me not beating them in general. You know, if we beat them by 1, 2, a win's a win. But the fact that we lost the way we did, that's going to bother me more than him beating me. But I believe that's a good team, and we'll see her later on and hopefully get a revenge match.
So there's Micah Parsons and his thoughts following the 31-28 loss to the Green Bay Packers with Barry Church and Isaiah Stanback. Let's talk about the defense a little bit because stopping the run, again, a problem for the Cowboys. They give up over 200 on the ground, including Aaron Jones, who had 138 and a touchdown as well. Isaiah, you've mentioned it all year. It's a problem for this Cowboys defense. How do they take a step in solving that moving forward?
I don't know. I know they made a big step in terms of going out there and grabbing big Jonathan Hankins, and you know, obviously in free agency, and they thought that was going to be a huge run stopper, and unfortunately, it hasn't showed its fruition just yet. But there has to be other guys that step up. I don't think that there's something that you can necessarily scheme up. At the end of the day, guys have to make tackles. And I know we talked about it here behind the scenes in terms of their ability to tackle and do it on a consistent basis, whether it was Aaron Jones, whether it was big A.J. Dillon. Either way, when those guys make a point of contact, the last thing you want them doing is falling forward for another 2-3 yards. You want them going the opposite direction. And as long as teams are allowed to continue to do that, that's exactly where we're going to go, straight to the ground.
Yeah, you talk about that leaky yardage. You know, that's what we've seen out there. A lot of catching from our linebackers and safeties. Nobody's kind of putting these guys down where they stand. But the alarming thing to me was Green Bay was able to do it both ways, up the gut and around the edges. And we haven't seen that so far from this Cowboys team. Usually it's, all right, they'll hit us up the gut for a while. We got the speed on the perimeter. They're not able to get to capture the edge. But today, Green Bay, they had a heck of a steam. They were able to get Aaron Jones on the edge. They were able to get Dillon on the edge and up the middle. It was a rough outing for this Dallas Cowboys defense when you talk about the run.
Okay, just flipping that to the defensive side, though, for Dan Quinn and company, at what point is it the scheme to blame for not stopping the run as well?
I think you got to talk about the players on this one because this has been the same scheme that they've had throughout the entire year. And it's been, it's been up and down when you talk about the run game, but these guys have been able to make plays. Today, they weren't able to do that. I think they got outmatched on the line of scrimmage. I think Green Bay's offensive line was able to move bodies out there. There was no reason for Aaron Jones to be able to get around the edge and have 5 or 6 yards before he even got touched by a defender. So to me, this one's on the players. They got to step it up when it comes to the run game.
I agree with you. You start talking about the assignments and start talking about the scheme, right? The scheme is what it is. You got 4 down linemen, you got 3 linebackers, okay, and then you have your secondary. But at the end of the day, guys have to either have to man their gaps in the holes or they have to be able to protect those edges. And they got exposed on both ends. They've been getting exposed on the interior, which is why they picked up Hankins. They thought that was going to help. And so what did teams do? Okay, we'll just go around the edge now and beat you up on the edge because your cornerbacks have not shown a willingness to come up there and show run stoppage and run force. So until this is a collective effort in terms of what these guys are willing to do and not just capable to do in terms of the scheme.
If there was one positive for the Cowboys, it probably wasn't in the run defense. It was on the way that they were able to run the football with Tony Pollard and Malik Davis. No Ezekiel Elliott, but Pollard still with 115. We're going to hear from him out at Lambeau Field when we come back. More Cowboys OT following the loss to Green Bay coming up in just a moment. Second straight game without Ezekiel Elliott on the offensive side of the football for the Dallas Cowboys. Tony Pollard with his second straight 115-yard rushing game. Let's hear from Pollard and what he had to say following the loss to the Packers.
He did a great job, coming in, making sure the offense didn't, slip off, making sure they just picked off where we left off at, and had some good runs in there.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
I mean, playing for the Cowboys, those type of calls we normally don't get on our side, so it's expected. We just have to be better. We got to put it on ourselves. At the end of the day, we control what we do, so we just got to be better.
Was there a point in the game where you felt like things were not starting to go your way?
I would say we started off kind of slow at the beginning, but we did a good job picking things up as the game went on, getting into the flow and just getting in rhythm.
How disappointing is this one overall? I mean, to have a big lead, especially in the fourth quarter.
I mean, it's big. It hurts. Any loss in this league, it hurts, especially an overtime loss. So we just got to, come in Monday and get better.
Appreciate it.
Serves you guys well down there.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if you don't learn from games like this and take experiences and grow from stuff like this, then it's just another L on the record, and it's no good, right? So we'll get in there tomorrow. We'll watch the tape, learn from it, and move on to Minnesota.
Obviously, McCarthy spent a lot of time in Green Bay. Could you tell, or how could you tell, in what ways did it show up without him and his personal connection with this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was an emotional week for him and the rest of the coaches that were there, and would have loved to go out and get a win for him, but like I said, we got to learn from it, and we got to move on.
Do these sting any less as the years go on?
No. I would say sting more. Just because, we had a great opportunity to go out there and do something on the road, and credit to them, they made a couple more plays than we did down the stretch, and unfortunately we weren't able to close out the game, but definitely can learn a lot from this game. First overtime game of the year. I think most plays we run on offense this year, so there's definitely things we'll be learning from this game.
It looked like on that third down play in overtime that the defensive back was there a bit early on CD. Were you surprised to not see the flag?
I mean, I'm not going to comment on any of the official stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to make a play at the end to seal the game out. So the takeaway is in those critical situations, we have to step up and make a play.
So hearing from Zach Martin and, of course, prior to that, Tony Pollard. After Pollard had 115 yards on the ground, this offensive line played well, really all the way through, and then a couple of late penalties hurting the final drive that ultimately ended up in a 4th down and 4 conversion attempt that was not successfully converted upon. Back here with Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. Nate, I'll start with you. What is your assessment at the moment of the ground game and how they were able to fare against this Packers defense?
Yeah, they were running the ball pretty good there. They were moving the ball, making things happen. But like you say, the plays at the end of the game, when it counts the most, we didn't make those plays, and it hurt us. I go back to Dak again, and I know you asked about the offensive line, but those 2 interceptions, that crushed us, bro. And that hurt the morale of the team, because that means you got, not only did the offensive line have to play extra better, that whole defense and everybody else have to play extra.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Nate. I think this offensive line did a great job for the majority of the game. But the unfortunate thing is you got to play the full 60 minutes plus some, depending on if you go to overtime like today. And that came back to bite them in the butt. Some of those holding penalties, lack of technique. You start getting tired and you start having to rely on your foundational pillars, getting your hands inside, running your feet, making sure that you're dropping your weight. All those things start mattering, and you can't just do them for 98.5% of the game. That last 1.5% is going to kick you in the butt, and it came back to bite them today. But overall, I love to see what they did today on the ground game and what they did last week. They need to continue to build on that. They just have to find a way on the flip side to not allow teams to do it as well. 9
penalties, 83 yards for the Cowboys, and really there were multiple holding calls that converted, or not converted, but really hurt the Cowboys on conversion attempts, especially in that final drive in overtime. So where do you start with trying to fix that? Because it's been a problem going back to last year, even 2020, if you wanted to go back 2 years. This is one of the most penalized teams in the NFL, and it reared its ugly head again this week, Nate.
It's like Isaiah said. I mean, you got to go back to your techniques. What are you doing during the week? Are you doing that extra thing? We were saying, hey, you're playing this for coach. Well, no, you shouldn't have been playing it for coach. You should have been out there hitting a dummy. I'm serious. You should have been out there hitting a sled. You should have been out there working with Michael Parsons, getting your hands inside, because he's one of your better pass rushers. It all comes down to that. Can you come back and put yourself in that practice situation where your hands inside, where you got your head placement right, where you're dropping your feet and stepping the right way? Isaiah's 100% right.
Yeah, I mean, it really just gets down to that technique. And, Nate just hit on it, going back to those fundamentals. But also, you look at what happened here, the third down efficiency. 33% on third down is not enough. The offense has 79 total offensive plays. They did a great job on the ground, but they had 15 opportunities on third down. And you're only converting on a third of those. How many points are you leaving on the board? It doesn't matter what the heck the scoreboard shows. You left 10 opportunities out there to move the chains, and you didn't make it happen. And then you go over to fourth down, and fourth down, you didn't convert on all of them. You can't afford to not convert on every fourth down. If you're going to take that shot, you better make sure that you move those chains. Otherwise, you're putting your defense in a bad predicament.
And you take those opportunities and you add the turnovers to that. Yep. You talk about points left off the board. There were multiple points off the board, especially early on. Which one hurt them the most, the early mistakes or the latter mistakes? We'll talk to Dak Prescott when we come back. More Cowboys OT following the loss to Green Bay in just a moment. A season-high 46 pass attempts for Dak Prescott. He finished with just over 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he threw 2 interceptions early in the game that really cost the Dallas Cowboys. Here's his thoughts at the podium following the 31-28 loss.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go back and look at that on tape. I mean, obviously just details. Wasn't able to get a first down. Obviously, we were able to do when we're scoring points, get first downs and continue drives and put pressure on those guys. And I mean, credit to them. Yeah, they stopped us right there. Stopped us a couple of times, gave their offense a chance, and those guys went and scored and made it go in overtime.
I saw you in the locker room. You kind of took a moment for yourself. How tough was this loss? You guys wanted to win it from Mike McCarthy. What was his mood as a game? How disappointed was y'all didn't get the finish?
I mean, he was just disappointed we didn't take that step that we've talked about, right? Laying another brick and just building on what we've built on, building on what we've accomplished up to this point. Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, it was a playoff environment. You want to go out there and you want to win. And all of them hurt when you don't win, you don't capitalize or do what you expect to do. So I mean, but you got to remember it's one game. So for us, it's about just sticking together, knowing what we've accomplished and where we're going and who we are. So it was a tough game, tough environment. We'll learn from this one and we've got to use it to make sure that we grow. Yeah, just honestly stick together. Just knowing that it was tough. Penalties and some other things stopped us, but just stick together. We've got a great brotherhood and a culture going, and we can't allow this game to hurt that. One more time.
Your thoughts on the last 2 plays in overtime?
Yeah, I mean, got the shot that we wanted right there to CD. Close call, bang bang play. Didn't get it. Go for it on 4th down, and they get a good rush. I try to step up. They grab me. Just able to get it out and try to make a play, and they're better in that moment.
Dak, were there any issues at all on the field? Dalton Schultz said after the game he felt that there were some issues with the field, guys.
Not for me. Not to my knowledge. No, not to my knowledge. Excuse me.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Jordan?
Dak, can you take us through the 2 interceptions and was that miscommunication and how did you and CD ultimately get on the same page during the game itself?
Yeah, I'd say definitely miscommunication. First one was to Schultz. Just he said he got knocked off his route in a sense, thinking he was going to cross face. They make a play. That's a huge play right there. For us to go up 14, they stop us, so obviously get the turnover, and then they go score. And then, the second one, they score off of that one as well. And that one's just miscommunication. Similar to the one last week, honestly, just thinking he's going to cross face, him saying something different, just making sure we get on the same page, and we're able to hit something very similar later in overtime, actually.
How easy or difficult is it to keep that big picture in mind when you're 6-3, now in 3rd place in the division, you got other teams that you have to kind of climb over?
It's still a long season, and we have to control what we can. We can't worry about what those other teams are doing. We've got a good one coming up Sunday against a really good team, a team that's at the top of this division. Conference, excuse me. So for us, it's I don't want to say it's easy, but we know. But that's the part that the brotherhood is, and just being able to count on each other, have honest communication about what's going on, what we expect out of each other, and we'll continue to do that. And we'll get in there tomorrow, clean this one up, and make sure that we learn from this, and as I said, use it.
So Dak Prescott saying it there. Things don't necessarily get easier for the Cowboys as they travel up to Minnesota, who is now 8-1 on the 2022 NFL season. When we come back here on Cowboys OT, we put this one in the rearview mirror and look ahead to that matchup with Minnesota here in just a moment.
The Cowboys OT was brought to you by Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
31-28, the Dallas Cowboys fall to the Green Bay Packers, and they fall to 6-3 in overtime at Lambeau Field. As we wrap things up here on Cowboys OT, Barry, Nate, Isaiah, where do the Cowboys go next as they face Minnesota next week?
Need to get back in the lab. Get back to that formula that got you here in the first place. Lean on your ground game, take care of the football, defense, figure out how to stop that run.
Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, a nice duo. What do we do? Do we learn?
Got to.
Watch the doggone film because these guys are absolutely loaded on offense.
They are really good. They beat Buffalo today on the road in Buffalo to improve to 8-1. Doesn't get easier for the Dallas Cowboys, who are now 3rd in the division. For Nate, for Barry, for Isaiah, and our entire Dallas Cowboys crew, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long. We'll see you next week on OT.